This video is sponsored by Full Reptile Collective, brought to you by Dan Hardy. Head over to their website at fullreptile.co.uk where you can find anything from training gear, t-shirts, hoodies, all the way to coffee. For an exclusive 10% off, use Dan Said So at checkout. Make sure to also check out their YouTube channel for some of the best MMA content out there, bar my own. Let's get back to the video. Alright guys, welcome to Top 5 Lightweights of All Time, UFC edition, with Steve from the MMA Minute. Thank you, Steve, for joining. And
absolutely.
This is going to be a highly debatable topic, and there's going to be a lot of comments, but the first thing we want is your top 5 in the comments, guys, of who your top 5 lightweights of all time are. And this is to celebrate to be honest, two major fights, in my opinion, for UFC 274. We have Charles Oliveira defending his belt again against Justin Gaethje, two of the best lightweights on the planet right now, and Michael Chandler fighting Tony Ferguson, which is going to be fight of the night, I think. All right, guys. We will start at number 5. Number 5 for you, Steve, is?
Number 5, I'm going with Benson Henderson.
Ooh, I love it.
Okay.
Why have you chosen Benson, sir?
So for me, of course, you got to be a champ. That's, in my opinion, that was kind of a minimum criteria. And I know there's a couple names out there you could probably throw, but he was the champ. 3 title defenses. Had a good transition from the WEC over to the UFC, ripped off, I think it was like 7 straight, including his defenses. And then that's including 2 over Frankie Edgar. So for me, that just seemed like a good resume to get you the number 5 spot.
Yeah. Other than, it was hard because he is one, well, you'll see if I've put him in or not, but his kryptonite obviously was Anthony Pettis, which every one of these lightweights in the top 5 to top 10 had a kryptonite of one guy that could beat them. And
Yep.
You'll see that throughout everyone. But my 5th place guy is Tony Ferguson.
Oh,
so
okay.
Won an interim belt. Went on a 12-fight winning streak. If you remember, he lost to Michael Johnson and then went on 12-fight winning streak, including 9 finishes. And those finishes were to Abu Trujillo, Gleison Tibau, Josh Thompson, Lando Vannata, RDA in that list, Kevin Lee, Pettis, and Cerrone. So, I mean, he was meant to fight Khabib about 4 or 5 times. And he's only recently lost to the greatest, generation at the moment of the Gaethjes, the Oliveiras, and the Dariush. So the guy's a machine. He's never been knocked out. He got stopped by strikes to Gaethje, but he's never been cleanly knocked out either. The guy's got the heart of a lion and just can endure everything. He's a dark stroke menace. Eddie Bravo gave him his black belt for a reason. The guy is just a phenomenal guy. Did win an interim belt, so he qualifies partly for your criteria, but for me, I just couldn't leave Tony Ferguson out because he is really the boogeyman. He is so scary to, a lot of opponents here.
I got to say, I'm happy that Tony made it into someone's list.
Yeah,
and that might be hinting a little bit towards my picks, but he was one of those guys that you can easily throw in there. And again, it's like it's the interim belt. How much weight do you put on a true, undisputed champ with defenses? So I get why he's number 5. Absolutely. The 12-fight win streak is unbelievable.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll start with my number 4 this time then.
Okay.
And go to number 4, guys. Number 4 for me is Rafael dos Anjos. RDA has made it into the top 5 for me. There's a record of 31-13 with 31 fights in the UFC. He's tied 2nd of all time, 7th of all time. I think Diego Sanchez is above him on 32. The guy's a machine. He's got wins over Nate Diaz, Benson Henderson, Cowboy, Pettis, destroyed Magny and Robbie Lawler. I mean, and he's still fighting now. You see what he did to Moicano recently. He made his debut in 2008. It wasn't a great debut, I guess, but getting uppercutted by Jeremy Stevens. But it was, the guy's just beating everyone. He won a belt, destroyed Anthony Pettis for the belt, and defended it against, if you remember, prime Donald Cerrone when Cerrone was riding the 8-fight win streak. He dismantled him in 66 seconds. The guy's an absolute legend of this division. He's bounced to welterweight as well. Did well out there, but lightweight is his weight class, and the guy's a machine.
Well, you might have stole my pick a little bit there. I do have RDA at number 4.
Yes.
And that for all the reasons you just listed, he's a true champ. He has the title defense record-wise. So he actually has 15 wins at lightweight, which is tied for 4th all-time in that division. And I think something that was really big for him too was how he's still relevant today. Like, he did go to 170, but he came back to 155 really I thought did well against Paul Felder. We wanted to see the Fiziev fight, but we saw him against Moicano. Like, he looks in prime condition, and he's just a staple. Like, when you're talking lightweight division, like, he's hung around for so long.
Yep.
He's a staple. So yeah, I have him at number 4, and I love him in that spot.
Absolutely. So we go down to number 3. Now we're getting into the most elite of the elite in your head. And obviously this is a personal list here. So what's your number 3 here, sir?
Yeah, I'm going to be curious to see how this stacks up with you, but we were talking about him maybe a little bit before this, but I'm going with BJ Penn as the number 3 spot. And this guy, when he was really getting after it in his prime, he was beating everyone. It didn't end well. The career did not end well for him, but if we're talking like in his prime, he looked phenomenal. And it's 9 finishes at lightweight, which is I had 6th all time in the division. He's got 4 title fight wins, which is number 1 all time lightweight division. And he's just an OG of the sport. He's a true finisher. And just, yeah, we've seen the range that this guy has. Like you said, he fought up all the way up to heavyweight, apparently. But yeah, BJ Penn, number 3 for me. I'm curious to see if that's where you have him or if you have him a little bit higher, because I got a feeling he's on your list.
So yeah, so my number 3 is also BJ Penn. BJ Penn made it to number 3, and only longevity at lightweight instead of bouncing between weight classes would have put him higher as a lightweight GOAT, as the top of the top tree for me. He was phenomenal. When he beat Pulver by rear naked choke in the rematch and Joe Stevenson by rear naked choke, and then straight after fought Sean Shirk, who had all the steroids in him, where he flying kneed him with a lead knee as well, and then just uppercutted him to hell on the fence. It's just, BJ was phenomenal. He fought at welterweight and beat Matt Hughes. The guys who, again, one of the GOATs of welterweight. It's BJ Penn in his prime was literally his nickname. He was the prodigy. He was so scary. And I'm so glad I got to watch that era of BJ as well, which I'm very thankful for. But yeah, the guy's a freak, and he definitely deserves to be in the top 5. If anyone doesn't have BJ in their top 5, I would be very shocked. Whether you've got him as a number 1, number 5, doesn't matter. I'd be shocked if he isn't included in anybody's top 5.
Yeah, and it is crazy because like looking at his page now, like his record as it stands is 16, 14, and 2. And it's just one of those things where you have to dig a little bit deeper to see just how good he actually was, because all those losses are like at the end of his career.
I hope new age fans do go back and actually watch BJ Penn in his prime and not just how he just fought Yair Rodriguez or whoever.
Right.
Which is a complete mismatch now thinking about it. All right, guys. So number 2 on your list. Would you like me to start, or would you like to go for your number 2?
You can go.
You can go.
You can go.
Number 2 for me, it was highly debatable with BJ, but I have put Frankie Edgar at number 2.
Wow.
I put Frankie number 2. Current record of 24, 10, and 1. Frankie is a beast. I mean, Pettis was his kryptonite, as Benson Henderson and Pettis. He's been a few people's kryptonite in that sense. It's a very awkward style, but he beat BJ Penn for that strap, and his absolute wars with Gray Maynard they are legendary fights. If you haven't seen those, you need to go watch them, because they're just incredible back and forths, and losses, draws, and wins. He opened his record of lightweight up with 15 wins, 1 loss, 1 draw. The 1 loss and the draw coming to Gray Maynard. The guy was an absolute machine, wrestling machine. He had hands. He was the new age, new breed of MMA fighter, as BJ was to his generation. And that's Frankie Edgar, to me, is just an absolute legend, and had no right even fighting that high of a weight class. He's a tiny individual for a lightweight of today. You see people cutting from 190 pounds down to lightweight. He probably walked around at 165 pounds, 160 pounds. So it's absolutely phenomenal to me.
Yeah, no, you see Frankie Edgar fighting at 135 now, and he looks good. But okay, I didn't really know how that was going to play out there. But my number 2, and hey, maybe you call this a little bit of recency bias, but I did put Charles Oliveira at my number 2 spot.
Wow.
And I know, he started off at featherweight. He had a good number of wins there, but he moved into the lightweight division, has the 10-fight win streak going on, 9 of 10 of those by finish, true champ with the title defense.
Yep.
This guy's a record holder in the UFC. It's 15 submissions, number 1 all time, 18 finishes, number 1 all time, 20 wins in the UFC, number 5 all time, 12 finishes at lightweight. That's 3rd for the division all time. It's, watching him has been incredible because I feel like we kind of counted him out for so long, and then he kind of got to this point where we're like, is he that good? And he just has kind of blown us away, and getting the win over Michael Chandler, which is going to age very well, a Dustin
Yeah.
Poirier, which is going to age very well. That's a guy who could kind of be on this list if you want to make that case. And then if he continues to defend, I mean, the sky's the limit for this guy. So I actually had Oliveira at number 2.
Well, I mean, I have Oliveira written down as he was competing with Tony Ferguson for my 5th, but I think that's where it comes into personal. Tony Ferguson to me I think he just impressed me so much more. I don't know why, because as you say, Oliveira has all those records and he is phenomenal. He has been brilliant. That's something that will cause a lot of stir. I think a lot of people, I think, will be with you, not just recency bias, but legit credentials there. Oliveira deserves a spot maybe in the top 5.
I think so. And I
You
think
have him as 2. You have him
I
as
know I have him
2.
as 2, and you don't even have him on the list. So you can kind of
Nope.
see, I don't have Frankie Edgar on my list, but easily, like, he was definitely one of my honorable mentions.
Yeah.
And it's just like you said, like, I have Benson Henderson on there, but he beat Frankie Edgar 2 times. So,
Yeah.
it's crazy that all these people have seen each other throughout their careers, and it's hard to rank them.
Absolutely. So that was number 2, and that's different. So you've noticed that I haven't got Oliveira, you haven't got Ferguson or Henderson. So that leaves number 1. Number 1, the big boy. I think we're going to agree on this one. I don't know yours, but I would be shocked if it's anything different, because recency bias or not, Khabib Nurmagomedov for me has got to be number 1. Now, people that don't like Khabib was this guy. And this is why I want to just make this statement of I never rated Khabib because I didn't think he'd fought the elite of the elite. Every single person I was like, he could beat him. He could beat him. Not only did Khabib just prove me wrong and beat him, he smashed him. Didn't lose a round, didn't lose a minute, ever. Everyone always talks about one moment of Khabib's career, and it's not him winning the belt. It's not him tapping out Poirier, tapping out Conor, tapping out Gaethje easily, without breaking a sweat, to be honest. He was ready to fight more with Conor. It's the fact that Michael Johnson punched him really hard once. That's all people talk about his career. We saw him be mortal for 10 seconds, and that's it. And that fight ended with him getting his arm snapped. So it's Khabib to me is just, he's in contention for GOAT status. So it's hard not to put him as the best lightweight of all time. But I'm assuming you have Khabib as number 1. But if you don't, I'd like to hear.
No, I did.
Okay.
And that was, that's got to be a unanimous across the board. Because if, I've posted videos of my top 10 greatest fighters of all time. I have Khabib at number 3. And it's crazy because I've gone back and I've watched a number of like GSP fights. And there's moments in a lot of his fights. I just watched the Johnny Hendricks fight. Extremely close fight. He was getting battered in that fight, you could say. And then even in the Carlos Condit fight, GSP was getting hit pretty bad. And he's been defeated before 2 times. And then you compare that to a guy like Khabib, who you're saying has literally never lost a minute of a fight, 0 rounds, 0 fights. Like, this guy is the most dominant fighter we've ever seen. Haters will say, that maybe the level of competition wasn't there. He's never faced a true wrestler is what I've seen thrown out there. Just the haters will throw out anything, but every single fight, this guy shows up. You know exactly what's going to happen, and you cannot stop it. And it's easy. It's Khabib number 1, Khabib all day. Like, let's go.
Absolutely. I'd love to see if anyone comments on this guy and Khabib, no. Put him as number 2, number 3, and they've got BJ over him. Or, as you say, Charles Oliveira. Has Charles Oliveira cemented his place as number 1? Like, I might be kicking myself in a year or two's time when Charles Oliveira has racked up a 6-fight defense streak and holds all the records. So we'll see, man.
We'll see. And it's Islam Makhachev is out there. That's a guy we're going to be keeping a name on. I'm sure someone will be in the comments talking about Conor McGregor out there, but no, sadly, no, he didn't make the list. Sorry, guys.
No, he might be on a Rushmore, but he's not on a top 5 lightweights of all time, unfortunately.
He is not.
All right, guys, let us know in the comments below who you think we've got wrong or right, who your top 5 is, and we'd love to see it, man. Appreciate it.